Okay, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all doing?
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you guys picked 9 o'clock, huh? Okay. All right, yeah, so there's a 9 o'clock lecture, there's a 10 o'clock lecture. So it doesn't matter which one you go to, and I'll take one of them and post them usually by the end of the day. So if if you're not here, you can always catch the recordings. Today's introduction to the class, let you know what the class is about, and talk a little bit about how to succeed, how not to succeed. I'll have a separate announcement about that. All right, so let's just walk you through all the course components here. The pre-recorded lectures have some dated information because I'm just reusing the fall 2020 material, and there we go. And so some of the dates and I think a couple of the names were a little bit outdated, but the overall course information hasn't changed. Okay, so first things to know, no lab this week. Labs will start next week, and I believe you've already gotten some announcements from Bobby Apelian. We have really good lab TAs. Robert Apelian studied under the master, Dean Laga, and he's now in charge of the labs. And we also have Michael Fornita, who's been doing this for a few semesters, and Lynn van der Haar. She's new to this class in terms of grading and tutoring, but she's experienced with tutoring for other classes. So I think everything's going to work out great. We have Zoom lectures like this, attendance not required, and 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. I do recommend the textbook. We're not going to do homework from the text, but it's actually a good text. Whatever the latest version is fine. If you're in the SE program, you probably want to get the thick version of the book. There's a truncated version of the book if you're taking this as a minor, or if you're like in the EE program, then you probably just need the smaller version. Yes, you will have to download software to your computer because you have to run Java on your computer, and in running it in an integrated developer environment, or IDE. Java can be obtained from the Oracle website. Oracle owns Java, and the IDE we use is Eclipse, and you can use that can be downloaded from the Eclipse website. Usually everything integrates fine. There's always a couple issues with a few people's computers, and the lab TAs are far better than I at making all that stuff get straightened out, but it will work. Lab 1 is basically about downloading and running a simple program. Some people don't want to use Eclipse. For the most part, that's okay. You can use, oh gosh, what is it? I think IntelliJ, something like that. There are other IDEs out there. Now there's one that someone was using last semester. I'll have to get the name of it, that I'm not going to allow, because basically it pre-populates all the fields and you're just filling in the blank, and it does, in my opinion, a little bit too much work for you. You're not really programming, you're just doing a fill in the blank exam. Do you have a Mac? No problem, it should work out fine. The only issues I have with Mac is when I'm doing your work, Mac Eclipse defaults to bundling things up in packages that I have to unpackage before I can run on my machine. Questions about that so far?
Does the textbook have any online code component, or is it just the text?
If you buy the textbook, you should be able to get the online code, but what I've done is I make that code available to you, at least from a few editions back. And then what I've also been doing over the last few semesters, because I pretty much hate the way the authors did their code examples, I've been refactoring those and modifying them a little bit, and so that you will have code available from me. You will have code available from the text from me, and if you buy the text, you should be able to download the software. Yeah, code examples are a great way to go. So I try to give you plenty of them.
Thank you.
Yep. If you are not able to get the code from when you buy the text, I'm not sure what to do, because what should happen is you buy the book and then they give you a code that you enter online and you get to download the package. If not, let me know and I can try to contact the book rep. I've organized the course into modules. This is module 0, and every module has outcomes. Please don't just skip through this list. Take a quick look at it before you go through the module, and then when you leave the module, go back and ask yourself, hey, have I really accomplished all these things? And if not, then that gives you an indication of where you should spend a little bit more time. There's kind of a theme here, by the way, of anytime you do any process, you should plan ahead of time, then you do the thing, and then when you're done, you do an introspection or an after action review or a lessons learned. Different communities call it a different thing. But basically, when you're done with the thing that you've just completed, you should take a look at it and say, what went right, what went wrong? How can I do better? We're going to do that specifically in the software development that we do in this class. But I also encourage you to do that for anything. When you take a test, if you got a good grade, you should ask yourself, what did I do right to get that grade? If you got a lousy grade, you really should ask yourself, what did I do wrong? How can I fix that? So anyway, the idea of this module is just to tell you the major course themes. What is this course about? Primarily about the object-oriented paradigm. And then also a strong element of software development process is specifically the process called Agile Scrum. And then software development itself. You walk through 2 versions of developing, quote, a relatively sophisticated piece of software. One is the project where you're more independent, but also we've constructed the homework series to be effectively a project development. So, you do some coding in homework 1, and then I think we start with homework 2, actually, homework 2 or 3, and then the next homework builds on that software, and the next homework builds on that software. One of the things that happens in academia when you do a software assignment, it's a one and done, it's a short project, you're a short software program, and you write it, and you throw it away, and you never see it again, then you start from scratch over again for the next homework assignment. And that's not how the real world works. Normally, if you're going to build a sophisticated piece of software, you build a little bit on 1 week, and then next week you come back to it and add to it. So you get practice with that both in the homework and the project. The harsh reality when you go out and work in industry and do software is you're probably going to work on software that other people have already wrote. And so you have to be able to take software that already exists and figure out how to modify it or add to it. We'll talk about what you need to deliver, what kind of deliverables you have. Basically, I'm sorry, my delivery, and then your deliverables. My delivery is online notes, online recorded lectures, and then these lectures. We also have discussion boards, and I'll walk through those. I really hope you guys get into these discussions. That's a goal for me for this semester, is to try to encourage you to get into these discussions. Your deliverables, quizzes, every module has a really quick quiz. It's basically, did you even read the material kind of quiz? It's not a tough one. Then we have homeworks. There's 8 homework assignments, and then there's a 9th one for extra credit. There's 10 labs and an 11th lab for extra credit. Discussions, some of which are required, where you guys do peer review with each other, and you get graded for that. And then the project artifacts, so the project deliverables. Outcomes on the syllabus. I'm probably not going to go through those in depth today for lack of time, but please read through them. The syllabus. The university decided they should use something called simple syllabus, and I'm still trying to figure it out. So I posted my old version of the paper syllabus, basically, the handmade syllabus, and I'm editing the simple syllabus. And when I get done editing, I'll to make sure it matches the old one that I had. Then I'll post the syllabus. I'm not done with that, am I? Breakdown, yeah, homework and lab and quiz. Quiz, homework, lab grade is 600 points. Project is 400 points, that's 1,000 points total. We'll talk about how the grade works out later on. Time commitment for the course, not trivial, not trivial. We'll talk more about this. Okay, so what What are the themes of the course? This is not the Java class. You know, I hear students in the hallway, oh, I took the Java class. Okay, we don't have a Java class. This university does not have a Java class. What this university has is an object-oriented class where we happen to use Java. We could have used other languages. And in fact, faculty always are arguing about what the right language to use is. We were having some discussions the other day about what programming language EE should take. Should they take C? Should they take Java? Should they take Python? Should they take MATLAB? These kinds of arguments go on all the time. So don't, even though you're going to be embedded in Java and enmeshed in Java, don't lose sight of the fact that Java is not the point of the course. Object-oriented software, good object-oriented software design is the point of this course, and software development is the point of this course. We happen to use Java. So we're going to introduce you to the object-oriented paradigm. And the idea here, let's see, everyone in this class probably came from EGR 115 or CS225. Some of you have taken high school courses that got you into this class. Your high school course may have been Java, actually. That's probably true for a couple of you. But primarily the people have seen MATLAB or C, and then I know you use C++, but you probably used it like C. But you didn't use the any object-oriented components there. So that was a procedural or a linear way of doing programming. Object-oriented is a much different way of looking at software. We don't do functional in this class. You haven't seen it yet. When you take CS332, you'll get to see some functional programming paradigm. So we're talking about object-oriented stuff, not Java. We happen to be using Java. We're also going to introduce software development processes, specifically Agile Scrum. I think pretty much all of you, most of you are going to take SE300 after this class. In that class, you learn about other software development processes, and you also get more in depth on Agile Scrum. Why are we focusing on Agile Scrum? That's what industries use in these days. You go out in the real world, there's a good chance you're going to use some kind of an Agile process, and Agile Scrum is the most common one. And we will get, I'll give you lecture after lecture about what these processes do and how they work. Then we do some, and I haven't been doing so great on this since the pandemic hit, some discussion of software design with data structures and algorithms. So when I was in a face-to-face class, it was easier to do that. I still have to develop those modules. These are not, I've not incorporated this stuff in the graded portion, but it's good to know what kind of data structures you have and how to do algorithmic development. I know you talked about some of that in your EGR 115 CS225, and we're going to develop more about that. Object-oriented and algorithms is kind of a weird mix, so I'll try to point that out as we go. So those are the big themes. That's why you're asked to do this course. Okay, delivery via Canvas. And let me go to Canvas real quick. If I can find it, there we go. Thank you, Zoom. Okay, so we've got the home page. This is my view, not student view. And as you can see, announcements, modules, discussions, right? Yeah, it is expected that you check your email or check your announcements every day, at least once a day. And I'm expected to do the same so that when you guys need help, I can respond to you quickly or have questions and assignments. And the things I want to look at first are the modules. No, don't. There we go. This is my view. So what you see are, you should see modules 0 and 1 from your student view, but here's the rest of the modules. I'm doing them in reverse order, reverse chronological order. There's 10 modules. The reason I'm doing in reverse order is as we get to have more modules piled up, you don't want to keep scrolling to the bottom of the page, find out what your latest assignments are and where the latest material is. It's always going to be at the top of the page. And then I have this module M99, which is all about the project. We have discussions, and again, this is my view, so you're seeing some discussions that aren't posted yet. The thing that I want you to notice, though, there's this Q&A for all course topics. any homework, any quiz, any lab, that's a good place to put a question. Or you're having an issue with some, trying to work Eclipse, or you're having an issue, you can't figure out an error message that you're getting. This is a good place to post that stuff. I used, the last semester was, I had a Q&A for each individual module, and all that did was add a bunch of clutter, a bunch of discussion pages that weren't needed. So one catch-all for, this one's for all the lab and homework and quiz. Within the project module, I have another Q&A in there for the project stuff, because that way you can segregate. It's almost like two courses, the project course and the lab homework quiz course. And a lot of you guys, thanks, have already been posting in this Post Your Pets. This is your get to know you one. There's Buddha, right, there's Lucas, who's this? Otto Willomishka. Good stuff. And I don't know what's going on here. Ariel. Okay, so by all means, and the reason I did this, some of you guys are on campus, but a lot of you guys aren't. And when you're on campus and you're sitting in a face-to-face class, as you know, you sit down and, you have someone sitting next to you. And as the semester goes on, you probably start to talk to them, ask them questions, and make fun of the instructor together, whatever. And what you're doing is building some relationship. And then when you're studying, you tend to work with your friends or with people with class. And it's hard to do that online. So I want to use these discussion boards. Some of these are just Post Your Pets. Some of these are odd questions about computer science, to try to get you guys to interact with each other and feel like you're in a community. I mean, we are in a community here, even though it's online. I suspect most of you are on campus for something. And if that's true, by all means, feel free to meet face to face. If you have questions, you can, maybe we can have a discussion board for that, like a study group set up. So what do you think? Is that a good idea? Would that work? If I put a discussion thing up that says study group advertising, would anyone take advantage of that, do you think, or is it too early to know?
I'd like that. That'd be nice.
Yes.
I would.
Okay,
Me
all right,
too.
that sounds like a lot of yeses. Okay, so let me write that down. Hold on. If I don't write it down, I will never do it. Okay, and also the tutors have already set up a Discord server. The Discord server got really popular last spring when we converted to online. And they've also established times that they will try to be there. The way we're working it is if there's no homework for them to grade that in a particular week, they'll spend like 2 hours or 4 hours a week in the Discord server, and they posted the times. If there's homework, they're going to cut it back a little bit so that, we unfortunately restrict as to how many hours they can spend each week. Yeah, and that amazing idea was not my idea, right? That was Dean Laga, who set that up initially, and now Robert Apelian is going to continue it. And so, yeah, we found it to be very useful. And when I'm paying attention in the evenings, while I'm grading papers or making assignments or something, if I remember, I'll log into the Discord server myself, so that way you can ask me questions too. I believe Robert is going to run the labs through Discord. I mean, he wanted to do that for the flexibility that it offers over Zoom. So same trick, by the way, with the labs. There will be live lectures. Your attendance is not required. We are not allowed to require you to attend something in an online course. If you have other instructors who are doing that, you should go complain to somebody if it's an inconvenience to you. Okay. Get out of there. Course is not hard, but it's a 4-credit course, and you earn those 4 credits, right? So you have homeworks and you have labs and you have projects. So there is work to be done. And in theory, if you have a 4-credit course, you should be spending about 12 hours a week on it, in theory. This course is crazy because when you're doing programming, some people will complete a program fairly quickly, some people won't. And so here's my advice. Every homework is designed to be roughly a 2-hour project, roughly. If you're spending significantly over 2 hours, please stop and ask for help, which means you can't wait until the day of homework due to start it, right? You can't wait till the night before to start it. Take a look at it earlier. They're going to be posted basically immediately, within the end of next week, I'll have all the homeworks posted. So what I did last semester, I'm going to do it this semester. So here's an extra credit opportunity is after every homework and after every project assignment, I'm going to have a survey open for 24 hours where you tell me how long it took you to do it. And be honest, there's no plus or minus here. In last semester, what I found is for the early homeworks, it was good. It was 2 hours per. And for most of the projects, for some of the project assignments, I'm saying, heck, I know that this one deliverable is going to take you 8 hours. If you do a good job on it, it's going to take you 8 hours or 10 hours. You have 2 weeks to do it, right? So it's not like, one day. And, some students were saying, oh, I did it in 2 hours. Well, it turns out those students had a lousy project. Again, you have to put the work in. And then some students were saying 15 hours. Okay. So the idea here is, I want to get an idea of what you're really spending. I have my guess of what it's going to take, but I want to know what you're really spending. Now, I had a homework assignment last year where someone said they spent 14 hours on it. Again, it's supposed to be a 2-hour assignment. Spent 14 hours on it. I'm begging you, don't do that. Ask for help. There's no reason to put yourself through that. There's no reason to make yourself miserable. You can send your code to the tutors. You can send your code to Robert. You can send your code to me. We can set up meetings. Usually, if I have a Zoom meeting with somebody and we go over their code, we can resolve all the issues, or at least point people in the right direction. I know that grading is a numbers game. There's 1,000 points in the class. You want to get an A in the class. How do you do it? This class is an easy A if you do the work. Pretty much the only people that don't get a good grade in this class simply don't do the work. They literally don't turn things in, or they turn in, crap at the last minute. So where is all these points coming from? Well, every module has a short quiz. That's easy money, right? To do that, there's 110 points right there. And then the labs are 290 points. That's easy money. That's easy points. So, that just means show up and do the work. The other things you work a little bit harder for. So the 8 homework assignments, some of those will be a little bit challenging, as they should. The project, what we want to do with the project, you get to pick your own project. It's an individual, not a team. You get to pick your own project idea. And the goal is to find something that's doable within the semester, but yet challenging enough where you're actually stretching yourself a little bit and learning a little bit. Okay. So conceptually, this isn't difficult. This isn't physics 3. It's a matter of just doing the work. Now, I'm going to go back. I'm going to backtrack on a little bit on that. Getting the concept of object-oriented is a little bit tricky at first. And then what will happen is, you can spend the rest of your life getting really good at object-oriented design. So there is a little bit of a hitch there, but we're going to talk a lot about that as the semester goes on, and you're going to have a lot of examples about a way to do object-oriented programming that works well for this class. Okay. I'm not going to go through these course outcomes. Again, you can see them on the syllabus. We 50-minute class. So I want to go into the stuff you're interested in. The grading. There's 1,000 points in the class, but it's broken up into 2 groups. There's a 600-point group, which is the lab, homework, and quizzes. And then there's a 400-point group, which is the project. And I tried this as an experiment last semester, and I think it worked out well, so I'm keeping it. Basically, treat those as 2 separate grades, like you get grades for 2 separate classes. So 600 points And if you have 540 and above, that's an A. 480 to 539, that's a B. And then there's the project for 400 points. 360 and up is an A, 320 and up after that is a B, and on. You get the lower of the two. The lower of the two. Now, why am I doing that? Because what I found is some people were doing lab, you know, when I didn't break it apart like that, some people were doing lab homework quizzes and absolute crap on their project and maybe getting a C in the course and moving on with their lives. I don't think they deserve a C based on their project work. They really didn't learn the course material. So lower of the two, that's important. Now, here's the good news. There is extra credit. There are extra credit opportunities. And what I'll do at the end of the semester is I'll take the extra credit and I'll put it where it needs to be in those two categories to give you the best grade. And last semester that worked out pretty well. So people that were doing, you know, that I knew through the semester, I'm like, this is a B student. They should get a B in this class based on, you know, they're interacting with me and I understand, I think I know what they know. And, you know, they got all tangled up in the project and they got a C, extra credit bumped them up to a B. So, you know, life is good. If you do all the work, that 600-point grade will be an A automatically, and then I can apply extra credit to the project grades in order to bring that up to an A if needed. Up to 10% extra credit points to apply to either. So if you have, 300 points in your project, I can't give you 60 points of extra credit just for the project. I can only give you at most 40 points for your project. Hey, that's a letter grade, right? That's a letter grade. Okay. My experience with this course is that, if you're doing the work, it's an A or a B class, but you know, there's effort involved to get there. Okay. That's Buddha. Okay. So do we have questions about the grade? Hold on, I'm gonna mute my mic for a second. I can find it. Okay, I think we're done. She heard a squirrel or something. Yeah, the questions about the grading, because it's not normal. Okay. Schedule. Okay. I didn't realize when I first posted this that I use Excel and I use, you know, formulas to auto-populate the date fields, and I didn't realize I still had 2020 in there, so, you know, leap year showed up. And somebody caught that right away, thank you. So this is the corrected schedule. The recorded lectures for the introduction probably have scheduled material from the fall, which, you know, I need to redo those, I think, for next semester and get rid of all that dated stuff. But this is the schedule. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have class. Monday and Wednesday is going to be the course material, you know, the object-oriented stuff, you know, coding, code examples, and then Fridays will be project discussion. So you see every Friday we have project discussion. And we need those because there's some skills in the project about how to write reports, how to write requirements, what does the agile process look like that wouldn't fit well into the course and still give you time to complete the project. Now, if you look at the deliverables, anything with a Q is a quiz, HW is a homework, then the lab's over here, and this P1 is project deliverable 1, P2 is project deliverable 2, and you know, we'll go through what all those are, but if you look, you have these little project deliverables smattered throughout. Now, what happens is the way the project is set up is I'm asking you to give me an idea, give me a good description of the idea, give me a design, basically. No coding, no coding, no coding. Don't code till the end of the semester. And then when we look at the end of the semester, oops, this is an image, not an Excel file. Then I get rid of lectures, I get rid of class time, all this time becomes tutorial time, and it's time for you to do project work. Now, the way the project works, P1 through 3 are all your prepping for coding. You know, designing, thinking, planning what you're going to do. And then you actually implement your code in four different chunks called sprints. So you work for about 10 days on a sprint. You have a certain amount of coding done, another 10 days, another 10 days, another 10 days. And towards the end, like I said, I'm giving you opportunity for that. This is finals week. There's no final in this class. Basically turn in your project, your completed project. So you're really turning in your project 6 times. The first one is just, your idea, but then you're going to turn in, your description of what you want to do. Then you're going to turn in your design. Then you're going to turn in code, and then final. So there's, it's not like, oh, I work all semester and I have one big fat deliverable at the end. And if I don't do it right, I fail the course. You're going to get points along the way for doing the work. And you're actually learning the process of software development. Software these days, the thing is you always have this iterative development where you always have some working code at any point along the way. Even though it doesn't do everything, it does something. So I've got a breakdown again. I tried to lay out how much time these things take. And if you look like for P1, homework 1 is like 2 hours. All the homeworks are roughly 2 hours. The labs are roughly 2 hours, and people were reporting that was about right. You do a pre-lab, you do the lab, you do the post-lab. The pre-lab and post-lab are fairly short. So the labs are about 2 hours. So every week, start adding up your time, right? So you can balance your workload with other classes. You've got about 2 hours a week here for the lab and 2 hours a week for either attending lecture or studying the material. There's 4 hours a week. And so if, figure out how much you want to spend on this class every week. If you want to spend 10 hours a week on it, that only gives you 6 hours left for other things. Well, P2 down here is probably an 8-hour job, but look at, you've got 2 weeks to do that. So I'm encouraging you to think about planning and saying, okay, I'm going to do, 4 hours on week 1 and 4 hours on week 2, that kind of thing. Questions about schedule? I try to lay it out where, when you're in crunch time at the end of the semester, all the class activity backs off. There's no, homeworks are not due. Homework 9 is an extra credit. Lab 11 is extra credit. So we're backing off all the deliverables so you have time to work on the project at the end of the semester.
Someone in the chat asked.
Yeah, quizzes on Friday. Yeah, for this week only. And the reason is, module 0 and module 1 are smushed together this week. So module 0 and module 1. Again, these are the quizzes that are just, have you even looked at the material? They're pretty basic questions. And you get, for every quiz, let me think. I think they're 5 questions each. You get 3 times to take the quiz, and you get scored the highest that you scored. Is how they should be set up. If they're not, let me know. But that's how I set them up. And basically what that means is, did you even look at the course introduction material? Did you even look at the module 1 material? Yeah. Okay, yeah, we'll have live lectures. You're not required to be here. We're going to do 9 and 10 a.m. And then, like I said, Monday and Wednesdays will normally be, starting next week, Monday and Wednesday are going to be the text material, the object-oriented paradigm, how do you use Java. I don't focus on how you use Eclipse so much. That's more done in the labs. So I tend to use Java in a different way in the classroom. And then Fridays will be reserved for the project stuff. By the way, attendance is not required. Students who don't attend usually fail the course. That's true. Now, if you're not attending this lecture, but you're watching the videos, let's count that as attendance. But there is something about, look how many questions I'm getting from you guys. There's something good about being in a classroom and you're, oh, wait a minute, I don't know. And you can ask that question immediately. Labs, no labs, first week of class. Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy. I used to be this way, and I still am this way to some degree. The students are really this way. Don't want to ask for help. I want to figure it out by myself. Fine, or I don't want to show my work. I don't want to show my code until it's done. I don't want to show my report until it's done. I'm going to work hard to break you of that habit in this class. I'm going to require that you show your unfinished drafts of things to other students for peer review. You show your unfinished drafts of things to me. And the reason is that's how it works in the real world. You want to write in fact, we just got done writing a report for the FAA last week. And, what was the last step before the team, the people who wrote the report put it out to the team and they asked for comments. And, our job is to go through and try to find where we thought you could improve the report. And that's the way you want to think about it. You're improving your product. If you show your report, your draft report to somebody and they recommend changes to it, you're improving your product, you're improving your grade. So rather than think of it as, I don't want people to criticize me, think of it as, I want people to help me improve what I'm doing. And if you have that mindset, I think it takes a little bit of the insecurity out of showing your work. Now, some of you, statistically speaking, are going to have issues where you get behind in the class. You have other things going on. A family member gets sick, or something happens, and you start to get behind in the class, and then you really panic. Oh, and I don't want to tell anyone. I don't know what the hell's going on. No, you should absolutely tell people you don't know what's going on, because that's how you get help. And if there's any particular thing that you're like, man, I just don't get this at all, by all means, that's a good thing to say. It's a good thing to say because people are going to rush to help you and try to find a way to make it work for you. So part of this is helping you get a better grade in the class. Part of this is helping you become a better software engineer, report writer, engineer in general. And part of it is practice for the real world. You always show drafts of your reports. We had to turn in our ABET self-studies this was a while ago. This was in summer of 2019. We worked on it a year ahead of time, right? We started writing and sending it out for review with other people a year ahead of time. So that's pretty normal stuff. Some of you guys who have been, if you're going to take, I don't know, I would think you could get away with the shorter version if you need to. Yeah, I think almost everybody's going to take SE300 after this class. And I should say the majority. If you're in the CS program, the SE program, if you're getting a CS minor, you're going to take SE300. If you're in EE and CE, let me think. CE currently has SE300, EE does not. I think EE is the only one that don't. So if you're not going to go beyond SE300, you may not need the larger book. Now, having said that, never hurts. This is a book. There's some textbooks you keep and some textbooks you throw away. Some textbooks you burn. This is one I think that's worth keeping. My experience with books that try to teach you about programming, they're either really good reference books, but you can't learn from them, or they're really good to learn from, but they're horrible as reference. This one seems to be actually a fairly good middle of the road. I need a better way to keep this chat screen up. Okay. Let's hide it over there and see what happens. Okay. By the way, can you guys see this chat screen? I don't know how Zoom works from the other end.
We can't see it on.
You can't see it?
No, but we
Okay.
can see ours, just not yours.
All right. All right. So as you know, when you're using Zoom and you need to click on something that's not Zoom, there's always some Zoom related thing in the way, and the chat screen was blocking my view. All right. Questions about labs? The idea behind the lab is they focus on these very specific skills, and then you take those very specific skills and use them as you go through the homework, and homework again gives you practice on the skills, and then use them in the project. So then you have in the project you're using your skill in the context of developing software.
I have a question about the labs.
Yeah.
So when I signed up for the lab, it says that it is physical. It has a location, but do we have to?
They're lying. Yeah.
Oh, they're lying? Okay.
They're lying. Yeah. What happened is that's just a weird thing about scheduling. So the way it works is, as you know, the labs are listed as a separate section from the course, and they did that so you could schedule your labs, even though there's one grade for both course and lab. And then when they converted the CS225 to online, they did not convert the CS225Ls or labs to online, but the whole thing is being offered online. So that's just a clerical issue with the scheduler.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Labs are hosted on Discord, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I understand Robert's going to do. That's correct. And I believe we have pre-recorded stuff from Dean Laga from last semester for each lab that Robert was planning on reusing. Dean was doing the labs for about 2.5 years here, and got his master's degree and graduated. So that's why you're going to see a lot of Dean Laga heritage stuff there. He was a very good student advocate, and I suspect Robert's going to be the same way. Homework, the main thing to know about homework, late assignments are not accepted. So again, plan, start the homework early on. Even when you're, even if you don't want to do it early on, look at it and, give yourself an honest assessment of, man, is this thing going to be trouble or not? 8 required homeworks and then 1 extra credit. Everything is submitted via Canvas. Most homeworks require that you have multiple files submitted, and so we're requesting that you zip them up into one zip file and submit it as one zipped file. We have 6 coding assignments. 1 is just bare bones. It's basically, write a stupid simple Java program just to make sure everything's working on your computer. And then we have a requirements assignment, a testing assignment, UML diagram assignment. And then the other coding ones are building over time, like I said, where you're basically going to build a mini project and start out simple, add to it, add to it, add to it. Now, what happens is when people get behind in that assignment, they don't do the first one, or they screw up the third one, and now they've got to do the 4th one and build on what they had before. That causes problems. So what we've decided to do this semester is, after each of these programming assignments, at least the ones that go in series, it's called a hare and hound project. The ones that go in series, we'll post a solution to it. So if you screw up and you forget to turn in homework 1, or you didn't do it, you don't have to do 2 homeworks to get to homework 2. You can do that one. Or if you just, sometimes what you do, your early decisions in how you design something turn into a horrible monster as you go forward. And if you've got a horrible monster on your hand by the time you homework 7, then you could use the solution that we provide for homework 6 as a basis and go from there. Now, having said that, sometimes it's harder to use somebody else's software than it is just to start from scratch. Late homework's not accepted. That's critical. You know, there's 90 students in these two sections and just 2 poor graders trying to keep up with you all. So, you know, we don't want them to tear their hair out. So, you know, late homework's not accepted, and that's rigid. For project stuff, I can usually be a little more flexible. I grade that stuff. So, you know, 1 or 2 days, that kind of thing, I can usually be good about, especially as we get towards the last deliverable, because, you know, it's hard to know always how programming is going to go. But for homework, no late assignments. If you're late, you know, take the hit, move on. Now, having said that, athletes, people on National Guard service, if you get sick because we're in a pandemic, let us know ahead of time and say, hey, you know, can I have a day or 2 on this assignment? You know, or I had to go, you know, I had an emergency. You know, I might need a day or 2 on this assignment. That will work out. But after the fact, asking for forgiveness doesn't work out. Are you allowed to go to the classroom to complete labs? Go to the classroom. Do we have a classroom? Oh, do you mean LB 164? That lab? You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do all this work on Embry-Riddle machines if you want to. The trick is, you know, save your stuff. You know, either mail it to yourself or bring a thumb drive or something. Yeah. The one that you thought, yeah, LB 164. Yeah, LB 164. If it's unlocked, yeah, you can do that. If it's an open room, that you're allowed to go in that room. If it's locked, then don't. Now, LB 370 is a good place, a good one-stop shop for computer help, and there'll be people there. That's where the EECS students tend to hang out, and the seniors and master students tend to hang out. So that's a good place to start. And any open computer lab, as long as they have Eclipse on it, you know, then you're good. But yeah, LB 164 is you're allowed to as long as it's unlocked. And if we have trouble with people wanting to throw you out because you're unsupervised, then maybe we'll try to have Lynn or Michael or Robert spend some time there while they're doing their tutoring hours. You know, so they're tutoring on Discord, but they're physically present also. Let's see how that works out. Project, relatively sophisticated work. You get to choose the topic. There are limitations in that. Like I said, 7 deliverables spread throughout the semester, and contributes 400 points to the project grade. So relatively sophisticated, and I'm going to give you 4 requirements. You have to have these 4 requirements, or basically it's a no-go. You have to use object inheritance. We'll talk about that. It's object-oriented programming. Inheritance is a critical feature in object-oriented programming. You have to have a graphical user interface. We'll talk about how to build those. At least one case of exception handling not related to graphics, and you must have file input, input output, simple file input output. So we'll go through all that stuff. I'm going to say this many times throughout the semester, because sometimes I have people with a project at the end, and they are missing some of these things. So what I've done is I've said, okay, if you have this in your project, it adds nothing to your project. And if you don't have it, it subtracts 50 out of your 400 points right there. So if you're missing 2 of them, that's 100 points right there. So that's been working out pretty well. And I will reinforce this over and over and over again. Okay, all right, we're at time effectively, but that's the overview of the course. That's how we lay it out. Please plan ahead and assume you're going to work, you know, X number of hours every week on this course. Put it in your date book, put it in your calendar, however you keep track, however you do your time management. And then as the semester starts to go crazy, hopefully you won't go as crazy as the students around you. Questions? Okay, if you have them, put them in that discussion page. And I made a note to start up a study group discussion page so you guys can advertise when and where you're going to be. Either on campus or on Discord, however you want to handle this stuff. All right. Well, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I thought these were great questions. I hope you all have a wonderful semester. And we'll start on Friday talking about the object-oriented paradigm, and then get into more specifics about how that works in Java as the next week goes on.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great one.
Should we
Thank
do
you.
the quizzes before the lecture on Friday, Professor?
Yeah, I don't care. Do it whenever you want. So as long as you've looked through the material and watched the videos that are there, then you can take the quiz. You have till midnight on Friday.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.